Hello and welcome to On The Clock, brought to you in partnership with Under Armour. With the NAB AFL Draft only 2 weeks away, we're here to answer all of the big questions, and to do that, I'm joined by Matthew Lloyd and Cal Toomey. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Riley. And Cal, you're always working the phones. What have you uncovered since we last met?
A lot, Lloydie. A lot of stuff happening. A lot of phone calls been happening. Cozzy Pickett's the big riser, the bolter of this year. Melbourne inside the top 10, and the Dogs at pick 13 clubs to look out there. Didn't see that one coming, and
He's a small forward.
Small forward from South Australia, one to watch.
It's really interesting there. Cal, we'll get to you first. Which club do you think could fly up the ladder this year with a great draft?
I think it's in Port Adelaide's hands now, because look at what they did last year with their picks, Lloydie and Rolly. They dominated last year's draft. Xavier Dersma, they got Zach Butters in. Connor Rosie was a gun. We all know how exciting he can be. If they can dominate this year's drafting, and they got pick 12, pick 18, they've shown that last year they can pick up gems at that point. If they can do that again and pick up 5 first-round talents that can guide their future, they finished 10th last year. I think they can push up to the top 6 with a really good hand and let these guys build their future for a long time.
I can trump that. I'm going Melbourne. Melbourne, we all know they had a horror year.
I'd go with pick 3 and pick 8.
No pre-season. Darren Burgess comes in pick 3 and 8.
Yeah.
They have the capacity to get the best ruckman in Jackson. They have the capacity to get the best kick in the draft, who you said would be Melbourne's best kick by the start of the year, in Hayden Young.
Yep.
And also, obviously, a type like Pickett, who could be the best small forward in the draft. So they can do it. They could rebound to top 4 Melbourne next year.
Top 4 next year.
Next year from the bottom 2.
Jeez.
That's how big the launch could be for them.
Not many ruckmen come in and make an immediate impact, though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But he's a future player that could be there to support Gordon in a few years.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Lloydie, which player do you think has the highest ceiling in this draft? We know Matt Rao's going to go 1, but if we're talking about high ceiling, high risk, high reward players, who has the highest?
I think Miles Bergman from the Sandringham Dragons. We saw him finish the season, Cal, extremely well. Yep. He's got an athletics background. He's he's new to footy in a sense that he's a high jumper as a kid and all those sorts of things. So kicked 4 goals late in the year. The ceiling's pretty high for Miles Bergman.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Miles Bergman. I agree completely with you on this one. Look, he has had a lot of injuries throughout his youth as well, and had some injuries this year. He was battling shin splints towards the end of the season too. So performed well. Somewhere in the first round, going to the draft on the opening night. So it shows that clubs inside that sort of top 15 really like him. The one for me is Will Day. He's from South Australia, good pedigree as well. The cousin of Sam Day at Gold Coast. You look at him, Lloydie, and you think he might be 15. He's not got the mature frame in him at all. He's probably not going to play senior footy next season.
What position does he play?
He's a half-back. Yeah. He's been sort of correlated to a Corey Enright type of player compared to that type of player. So that medium defender, plays well above in the air at ground level too. So I like him. Somewhere in the top 20. Richmond, you look at Port Adelaide, Geelong, all clubs interested.
Top 20 pick, you reckon?
I think so.
Well, recruiters have been scouting these blokes intently throughout the year, but Cal, which trait do you think is the most important in the modern game?
There's so many, and you speak to recruiters and they want everything. They want the best player in every sort of aspect. But for me, it's the guys who can play dual position. I look at the top end of this year's draft, guys, and I look at Sam Flanders. He can play midfield forward. Luke Jackson, he's a ruckman who can go forward. Noah Anderson plays forward when he's not dominating in the midfield. If I'm a coach, I want players coming to my club who can not just fit into one position and aren't pigeonholed into one spot. So that's where the top end of this year's draft really excel, these dual position types.
For me, it's competitiveness. You can be dual position, but if you haven't got competitiveness, you've got nothing really. So I look at the top 10 of the draft last year. You look at guys who impacted straight away. Walsh, I know he's number 1, ultimate competitor. You've got Rosie, King, Smith, and also Nick Blakey, great competitors. We see Warple, Magnum. You talk about Jack Graham, what he did. Pick 53.
Yeah.
But you can impact straight away if you're a great competitor.
His first year.
And that's what Rowell is. He'll play straight away because he's the ultimate competitor.
Agree with that?
I agree. I'm not going to say Matty Rowell's not a good player. Competitiveness is crucial, but I think the ability to move across the ground is pretty big too.
Another trait that is crucial is kicking. Lloydie, who do you think is the best kick in this year's draft?
Well, Hayden Young, the man that Cal has had, made a big call that he could be Melbourne's best kick next year. Some of these, I just love the technical side. That is just beautiful.
Yeah.
You cannot, I don't know who he taught or he just did it from the first time he picked up a footy, Hayden Young, but these kicks that he's executing here, AFL players, most of them can't do. So this kick here, you could watch that all day long. So Hayden Young is the best kick in this crop by a long, long way.
Trust you to go with the left footer. Who'd have thought you'd pick the left footer who's got no right side?
Scotty Lucas.
I'm going to go with Trent Bianco. He's a player who can open up the ground on both feet. So we saw him play at half-back for Vic Metro. This is where you see this vision here. He was trusted with the kick-ins. He was the guy who delivered the ball out of the back line. Then for the Oakley Chargers, he played through the midfield. His final series was elite. And what he did with the ball was set up the play for other teammates. I'll put it this way, Lloydie, if you're still playing, you'd want Trent Bianco kicking the ball to you because he makes you lead to the space. He's a player who does it off both feet, as I mentioned, so he's not a really quick player, but I think his ability to go both sides gives him an extra couple of seconds. That's really important for him.
Trent Bianco is also a very good leader. A lot of good leaders in this year's draft, Cal. Who do you think will be a future captain at an AFL club?
I'm running out for Devon Robinson. He's the player that if he's leading the speech and tossing the coin, I want to play for him. We saw that at the championships. The WA players loved him. He led them to their first title in a decade. He played with a bung shoulder for most of the carnival. At the end of the season, obviously ended to come a little bit quickly for him because in this game here, he played with a dislocated shoulder. But look, he's a midfielder, average 30 disposals, and you talk to people within the WA system and they love his approach. He's really friendly with everyone, but has a really stern approach as well. So they know he's determined, he's tough as nails. You know if he's going into the trenches with him, you're going next to him.
Yeah, great call, Cal. I'm going to go, though, with Vic Country's Caleb Saronga. He's the co-captain of Vic Country. Gippsland power, Caleb Saronga. You do your homework on him and they say the care and empathy he has for his teammates is absolutely brilliant. On field, you can trust him every day of the week. He averaged 8.5 tackles through the Vic Championships with 23 disposals. So I think that's who you want to play for with players like that.
I'll also say about Devon Robinson, one last remark on him. Captaincy's in his blood because his uncle was Darren Glass, led the Eagles for a long time, was a star for that footy club. So it's in the family.
Couple of good leaders there. Lloydie, Hawthorn's got their highest pick since they took Mitch Thorpe with pick 6 in 2006. Who should they target with pick 11?
Well, I think they're very pedestrian through the midfield. You know, you look at the types of players. Warple, I know he won a best and fairest. Tom Mitchell will be coming back. You look at Liam Shields, very much the same type. I know they brought in Tom Scully, but Dylan Stevens from Norwood in South Australia will be the first South Australian we think taken.
Yep.
You can just see him here, just that the player number 7 kicking the ball there. He's an Andrew Gaff type, so he can run all day for you. He's got speed, with Cal touched on before we come on air, 2.97 for the 20-metre sprint. So a runner. They need a gut runner to support those players through the midfield because Impey and obviously Henderson are there, but they don't have the longest careers ahead of them.
I look at their tall stocks, Lloydie, and I think that they brought in Sam Froster in the trade period. Jonathan Patton's in there as well. Bit iffy if
Hartley as well.
Hartley as well. Michael Hartley's about to join the club too. I'm looking at their future key position stocks and I'm saying, where's the next gun in that bracket? It's Fisher Mackesy. So if he gets to pick 11, I think they have to take him. He was the MVP for Vic Metro at the Carnival, so forget about Rowland Anderson. He was voted their team's best player across that championships. He can play in key defence. He also goes forward, as we see here for Vic Metro, the cheeky, a nice goal. He does at both ends. He can be a Jeremy McGovern type for the Hawks if they get him. So I reckon if they can package up Fisher Mackesy with pick 11 and then they get a bid later on for Finn McGuinness and get those two Sandringham boys in, that's a massive draft for the Hawks.
Putting you on the spot here, speed or height? What would you go for?
I think height. I've got to lean with Cal. Sorry, Lloydie, but I'll lean with Cal. Do you see his best position as a defender going forward?
I think he's a defender. He impacts games as a forward a bit as well. He crashes packs, but I like him as a backman.
Yep, agree with you there, Cal. Thank you guys for joining us today. And thank you as well. We'll be back soon with another episode of On the Clock. We'll see you then.